This video here is going to show you why your cold outreach stopped working. And so there are several potential causes, some of which you might not be aware of. So I think this video is going to be very helpful. Make sure to watch it to the end to see every possible solution to this issue when your cold outreach stops working. The first one is a concept called copy fatigue. And basically, this happens when the email servers detect a pattern in the way you're sending emails. And this happens even if you're using Spintax, which is short for syntax spinning. This is like even when you're randomizing the words in your cold bulk emails, this can still happen because they can still see patterns. They use AI now to analyze emails at Microsoft and Google. So if you're not taking this into account, if you're not switching up the way you write your copies, the structure of your copies, eventually they're going to see the pattern and basically you're going to get shadow banned. And this happens on the copy level. So even if you set up like new domains and new email accounts, this particular style of copy, this pattern is still going to be on this like shadow banned list essentially. So the way that I recommend doing this is by creating a ChatGPT prompt that can basically restructure your copies so you don't have to like change your offer or anything. And you just do that every 2 weeks. You switch up the structure, make the copy sound very different, you add your spin tags again, and you start sending, and the copy fatigue issue should be gone. And in some cases, this can like take your campaigns from basically no one responding to like, quadrupling the amount of responses you get just because your copy was basically flagged by the email service providers. The next thing is email verification. And this happens because sometimes people have a list that they send to and they verify this list. They use, an email verification tool, and then they just use that list for like 6 months. The issue is you need to be verifying your email lists every 2 weeks as a minimum. And this is because people's emails change. Emails get shut down, people change jobs, whatever the case might be. And so a lot of a lot of the email accounts that you have on your list are not actually going to be valid in 2 weeks, in 4 weeks, in 2 months. So you need to be constantly verifying the email addresses to avoid any bounces, because if your emails are bouncing, then the whole sending score of the domain is going to be completely crushed. So you need to be verifying your email addresses way more often, and this can also fix your campaign overnight if this was the issue that was basically plaguing your campaigns. The next one is your email infrastructure basically crashed. So your domains have been like put in the same bucket by the ESPs. This typically happens if the email service providers can see that all of these domains are forwarding to the same main website. And if that happens, they can say, okay, this is like a decentralized infrastructure here. We can detect it. Let's ban this. Let's shadow ban this, right? So it's the same concept as with the copy, but this happens more on the domain level. And so what you need to do to identify whether or not this is the issue is you have to look through blacklists. You can do inbox placement tests. And in many cases, you'll have to just completely rebuild your infrastructure. It is not very time efficient, in my estimation, to start rewarming your infrastructure. It is actually better to just buy new infrastructure. And then this time, remember to have a backup infrastructure. So you're basically rotating your inboxes and you have something that can serve as a backup if the domains all get blacklisted or anything like that. The next one is your offer is too saturated. Now, a lot of people think this is the first thing that they think about. They see, okay, I'm not getting the same replies I got, 2 weeks ago. Probably my offer got saturated. But that's not really something that happens overnight. Markets don't just change like that overnight. That's very unlikely. But this can still happen, but it just usually takes months. So if you're noticing a decline in performance, say over a 3, 4, 5 month span, this could definitely be because so many people are now offering it in cold outreach and therefore it's no longer working. But this is not a conclusion that you should jump to if you're seeing a decline in performance over a few weeks. That is most likely due to some of the previous causes that I mentioned. The next one here is you got a part of your list that is bad. So basically, you started out sending to a part of your list that was great, that was qualified, and then you got deeper into the list and it started to become unqualified. And this happens quite often. And I think one of the reasons why it happens is because databases basically have this tendency to put the best fit leads in the front of a list. And this is also why, if you go on Apollo, for example, or something, and you put in your filters and you see the preview is always amazing. The preview looks great. These are great companies. This is a great fit. But if you go to page call it 500, suddenly the quality is going to decline. So this basically means that what you have to do is you have to analyze your list very objectively. You have to basically get the CSV file, randomize everything, and then start to do your spot checking. And if this happens and you can see that, okay, this list is actually not as qualified as I thought it was, then you have to qualify your list again. We have a whole video about AI pre-qualification with Clay on the channel. And then you remove all the bad leads, all the people that are not fits, and then you just start sending more emails to the actual good ones. So that's what I'd recommend in a case like this. So if you need any help with building your cold outreach system, if you're an agency or a service-based company, then we can help you. You can go to www.scalesprint.io. What you see on the screen right now is the system that we implement. This is a system focused on multi-channel cold outreach with super fast appointment setting. This is the best way to build a cold outreach system in 2026. So make sure to check that out. But in any case, thanks for watching.